All right, so I didn't make a video for games 2 or 3 during the Oklahoma City series for a multitude of reasons. I'm gonna be honest. When I was watching those games, the officiating really stood out to me, and it was just really frustrating to watch. I feel like a lot of people had said everything that I really wanted to say there, and I didn't think that it was worthwhile to talk about the physicality that they were frankly letting Hartenstein get away with, the hair pulling, all that stuff, and people were just sitting there like doing it. And then this Oklahoma City Thunder fans, like the discourse around it was just so annoying that I didn't want to really make a video about it because I feel like there was nothing there worth covering, to be honest, right? And as far as the Cleveland Cavaliers, there is fuck all to talk about with this team. Like, they had their moments, their offensive strides of like just being good, and then like they're burnt out. They're completely exhausted from having a long playoff run, which is probably the first long playoff run that any of these guys have really had at this point. It was 14 games in the first 2 rounds, which is the problem. What happens when you don't put away teams in 6 games or less. That mileage has really eaten up on them. They choked away a very winnable game in game 1 when they were still hot and they still had momentum. And they lost all of that momentum. They have not won a single game. They have not won a single game. That 22-point lead that they choked there, that was enough. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. My stances on the New York Knicks have not changed. I still do not believe they're contenders. I still do not believe whatever team comes out of the East is going to be able to fuck with the Oklahoma City Thunder or the San Antonio Spurs. I just don't think that's competitive. That either of these teams are competitive. I think that I think the only thing that's saving Mike Brown's job right now is the fact that they've made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and this is probably the weakest team they could have managed to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. We're going to be honest. The playoff is about matchups. You play who's in front of you, and this team is going to be thoroughly underprepared to play whatever team they make it to and see in the finals. Yes, they are currently up 3-0. They are not going to choke that lead. Honestly, I don't want to talk about this because it's not even a possibility, but let me just hypothetically cover my bases just in case. If the Cleveland Cavaliers come back down from 3-0, first of all, wow. First team in NBA history to do that. Second of all, Mike Brown should be fired mid-series if that even comes close to happening. Kenny Atkinson is already on the hot seat right now. I'm confused. I don't know what this team is really going to do. I don't think Kenny Atkinson needs to be moved. I think Kenny Atkinson, because I don't really know who's the replacement, right? This is the problem with teams in the NBA. They fire a head coach, they get a guy, he's not the next guy, and then they don't know what the fuck to do. They don't have a guy in mind that they're going to be firing to get Kenny Atkinson. When they hired Kenny Atkinson, right? Kenny was the replacement for JB Bickerstaff. They do not have a replacement in mind already, right? I just don't think that that's something they can feasibly do in this time frame, in this time period. I don't think firing Kenny Atkinson is the way. I don't think extending James Harden is the way either. And if not extending James Harden leads to you losing Donovan Mitchell, you need to lose Donovan Mitchell. Just straight up. There's nothing more to talk about with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I will not be talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers for the rest of the postseason. I am very interested in talking about them in the offseason. Yeah, that'll be something. But for the rest of the postseason, they're done. I'm not even disappointed with this. Going to the Eastern Conference Finals is a step up from where they've been in the previous years. I'm pretty satisfied with that. I am embarrassed the way it ended, to be quite honest at this point, but that's it. I'm not a disgruntled Cavs fan right now because there's great basketball to be played. Really, truly, I think for this team to progress, they would need to find a coach that's big oriented and that's coached another big very recently, that could get Evan Mobley some more offensive prowess and edge. Because I think if he takes a step forward as an offensive player and takes that leap, really, because I don't think his defense is great, right? But it's going to be great in stretches and strides. It's not going to be great 24/7. It's impossible for him to do that. He is not as transcendent as it would be, and he's anchoring a team that's off. That's defense is just not going to be good when you have Sam Merrill out there, when you have Donovan Mitchell out there, when you have him out there. I think if you give him a solid enough defensive core, he's pretty much in the same situation that Rudy Gobert was in when he was playing. Sorry, that just was really bothering me. Rudy Gobert was in when he was playing for the Utah Jazz. I think he's in that situation, very similar actually. There's a guard who is a defensive liability and essentially in a Mike Conley. That is whose primary job at this point in time is to set up Rudy Gobert to get some offense done, and maybe occasionally get some offense done with James Harden. And then you have Donovan Mitchell, the primary scorer first guard. I don't really need to explain how Donovan Mitchell translates to that team. He was literally on the team that I'm referencing. And then they had the defensive mistakes had to be made up by Evan Mobley. And this happens a lot because they don't have run double bigs consistently. That's another problem that I don't like with this team. We need to be able to run double bigs all of the fucking time. And the fact that our backup center is Thomas Bryant is a problem. It is a problem. When we have Tyson's development, if Tyson's development happens, that'll be great. I saw stretches and strides of Tyson this season that can show me that he can make up playmaking, he can make up for the scoring and stuff in a deficit that this team has. Kenny went away from him in the postseason. He was not great in the postseason. I think it's unfortunate that his second year player is not as good as he needed to be right now. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't think that this team can really do much as far as internal improvement. If you have to lose out on Donovan Mitchell because of that, I think you should do that. And I know people are going to say, that's the only thing keeping this franchise relevant. I would rather be real contenders than relevant, to be honest. I would rather be real contenders than relevant. That's that. And I don't think Donovan Mitchell gives us the contending window. I always thought that if you had to move in a different direction afterwards, you should always punt on the present to be prepared for the future. Even if the future is not as pleasing as you might think it is. I always thought that if they had to do something right now and Donovan Mitchell leads to being on plea, they should get as much as they can for him. I don't think this team is going to do that, unfortunately. I think we're going to be locked into another James Harden era. I don't think that's going to bring much success to this team. I just think, truly, I think James Harden is playing through an injury right now. To be honest, I would not be surprised when it comes out at the end of the season. Yeah, that hand injury is still bothering him. And, you know, he's an aging superstar. So there's that. Well, he's not even really a superstar anymore. He's a star. He's dropped out of superstardom quite a while ago at this point. So there's that. And it really sucks because we traded Garland. I think realistically, if Garland, I know waiting on Garland was not the ideal situation, but trading for a 36-year-old who's 10 years older than the prospect of Garland is just not it. And I guess it gets you out of the small guard problem, but who is the replacement? We're also not really anywhere in like the draft lottery or anything, so like I don't know what the plan is. If it just relies on you being a 50-win team every year in the East, I mean, hey, this team can do that, but it's not enough. Let's talk about some actual pleasing basketball in the real finals, to be quite honest. NBA Spear was looking really, really, really toxic and disgusting when Oklahoma City came up and became 2-1 after they won one game in Oklahoma City and they won the one game in San Antonio. So let me cover those really quickly. I think I already led with it. I think the physicality they were allowing Oklahoma City to get away with was really excessive. I think another problem that we were having, at least in games 2, was Stephon Castle's turnovers. They had been really, really bad in the game 2. Dylan Harper being injured in game 3 also helped for the San Antonio to lose those games. I do want to say this very carefully and very quickly because I think if I don't address this, people are going to be on my ass about it. I think Jalen Williams is the second best player on this team, and it shows, and it's really hurting this team right now that Chet has to be their second best player. He has not been their second best, by the way. Chet has not lived up to expectations. Chet has been, well, maybe someone else's expectations. I think Chet has been thoroughly overrated this entire season, and that if they had Jalen Williams healthy and they just didn't have Chet, that it would matter a lot more and it would be a lot more productive for this team. I'm being shown that 24/7 actually. And even though this team had been up until last night undefeated without Jalen Williams in the entire postseason, I would like to remind them that they played the fucking Lakers, which were a guaranteed second round exit no matter who they faced, because they'd have to face San Antonio or it didn't really matter if the bracket was changed around. If they had to face San Antonio or Oklahoma City Thunder, they were going out in the second round, and they faced the Suns. They got these teams because they won a lot of games. They won the most games in the league, and they earned that. The problem with the statistics that you take from this, the sample size is not as good or as impressive as if you were a lower seed. So when you talk about statistics like this, being like, oh, they're undefeated without Jalen Williams. They're undefeated without Jalen Williams because they were playing teams that no one expected to take a game off the Oklahoma City Thunder. Let's talk about Shea really quickly. It's because this series really comes down to two things. It comes down to, is Wemby having an all-time game or is Shea having an all-time game? If they both have an all-time game at the same time, it'll come down to the role players. But it hasn't come down to that up until this point. So let me just explain to you why we're in this 2-2 series right now. One, Dylan Harper. Oh, by the way, they were missing Fox really, 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 really badly in the their first game in San Antonio. And he was there, right? But he was playing through an injury. And then he rolled his ankle again in that game. Fox has looked much better post that in this game 4. That was something that was really helpful for them. Dylan Harper is finally back. They have all 3 of their dangerous guards that really helps this team. And I know a lot of people have been thinking to themselves, we should split. Well, if Fox is not really living up to expectations and the money he's making, we should really try to get rid of him. No, you don't do that. One, you're a small market team, and paying De'Aaron Fox and then immediately shipping him off when he has one bad postseason run is not something that you should do. It's not sustainable. It's why the San Antonio Spurs never did that. 2, he's going to be the veteran of this team to lead these other guards into the future, right? Into their futures and stuff like that. So even if you don't like how much money he's making right now, it is a bit of an overpay. I will get that. I will grant you that. But you have 2 rookie guards, who are both on their rookie deals. Wemby is still on his rookie deal. That's not expensive to you. You're not spending a lot of money. The veterans that you have on this team are important for the locker room. I'd say Harrison Barnes is actually pretty important for basketball things. He's going to decrease in value for basketball things, but he's also there to make De'Aaron Fox happy too. He's a former teammate of De'Aaron Fox in both Sacramento and here. This is good things for the team. They're good for the vibes. I think if you're talking about players you might need to move off on, it might be Keldon Johnson. But Keldon Johnson is the longest tenure Spur, so I wouldn't fucking move off on him. I'd let Keldon test his value in the market if it ever comes to it, but like that's it. I think Keldon is very willing to come back on a team-friendly deal. Like, a lot of these guys not only like each other, but they like where they're at. Also, Keldon has a fucking ranch. You know where Keldon's going to be able to have a ranch in anywhere else in the United States? Nowhere. I don't think Keldon wants to uproot his family and ship them out to fucking somewhere else just to be in San Antonio. He likes it. The guys like it in San Antonio. They're happy in San Antonio. No one needs to be broken up. Everyone is living up to the expectations. And here's another thing. Even if you think some of the guys are not living up to their expectations, they are still young. This is the same stupid dilemma we had with Oklahoma City. No, we should not move on the young guys. None of the young guys need to be moved, okay? And the veterans that are like, and the veterans that were in this, the same thing we said last year. No, we don't need to move on Caruso. Caruso's replacement is ideally already on the roster. So when you have to replace Caruso, you will be ready to replace Caruso. You don't have to worry about that, though, right now. Just ball out and live with it. Case and Wallace is still there. The same thing we were saying about Jalen Williams. Like, oh, bro, I don't know if Hartenstein's really the big for the future. Well, Hartenstein, you did overpay on Hartenstein. Don't get it twisted. But Hartenstein won you a fucking championship. It helps. And Hartenstein has also been very pivotal in this series, whether you like him or not. I'm not going to lie. The way he started off the game for the Spurs, the Thunder last night was very helpful for this team. That was their only offense in the floating. And it took one Wemby contest to really fuck up his rhythm. And to be quite honest with you, come here real quick. The floater is already a tough shot. It's a tough shot when you're making a standstill floater. It's a very tough shot. I think only Wemby and Hartenstein take it as much as they do for someone of their size, and it's a lot easier to do when you have momentum going towards the basket. These guys take flat-footed floaters too, and it's not a good shot over Wemby. I mean, nothing's a good shot when Wemby's around, but like that's a very high difficult shot, and he was making them at a clip. We were thinking, I was seeing him going off. I was like, okay, 4. I was like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row. I'm like, okay, if he hits his 5th one, there's gonna be a problem. Wemby steps up the contest. That was huge. The offense at that point was running through Hartenstein. I think, here's another thing. I didn't get to talk about games 3 and 2. Jalen Williams, their bigs have been very big for them in this series. But it's been Jalen Williams and it's been fucking Hartenstein. Chet has just not lived up to the expectations. Chet, they have been talking to you like this is a rivalry. And Wemby has been openly and publicly like, this isn't a fucking rivalry. This guy's a rival to me. He's not even an all-star with it. He's not even an all-star when it comes down to it, to be honest. And I don't think that he's taking a jab at him. I think San Antonio is probably the perfect team and was built incidentally to really take advantage of the things that Oklahoma City Thunder lacks. I think that this, like, if you get a transcendent game from Wemby, because he's a transcendent player and that's what transcendent players do, they're going to win games. If you get a transcendent game from Shea, the Thunder are going to win games. This is why this series can go 7 in the first place. It's tied 2-2 right now. It's the real finals for a reason. I just like it's a beautiful like dance in game. I do want to talk about Shea last night. Shea had 7 free throws, he had all 7 of them, and 19 points last night. He shot subpar from the field. The chess game that they're playing right now, really, between Mark Dagnall and Mitch Johnson, is which one of us is going to be able to unlock our superstar first against one of the toughest defenses in the league. And the way that the Thunder become a tough defense has a lot to do with the way the Thunder become a tough and dominant team. The way they've been a tough and dominant team is because they can hack at you, and they set the turn early. They can swipe at that ball. The things that their strength of defense is, even if they foul you, it's actually called a foul, which sometimes it just isn't. They can't call everything, right? And there's also just effort and hustle too. When they match a team, and they match into a team that has as much hustle and heart as them, they're gonna struggle. When they can't get off a turnover, when they can't live off of turnovers, they're going to struggle. And by the way, I want to point out this because people have been really harping on Stephon Castle's turnovers. Stephon has made 2 turnovers in the past 2 games. Stephon is in his second year. He's in his first postseason run. And it's up against the defending champs who have more than enough guards to throw at him. Alex Caruso, Cason Wallace. Shea is a solid enough guy to throw at him. And Steph has been giving his all on the defensive end. That's why I'm saying if the Thunder are going to get out-hustled and they're not going to get turnovers because they can't swat the ball. Another thing, when they throw the lob is guaranteed to either be a dunk and a poster with a free throw or 2 free throws. If they can find a way to get the ball to Wemby, it's as simple as that. And I know a lot of people are saying to themselves, well, Wemby's not a transcendent offense player. So when you're talking about Wemby, right, and you're like, I'm saying he's one of the best 2-way players on the planet. His defensive impact, first of all, is bigger than a lot of guys' offensive impact. So I just want to be fucking clear, right? So whatever you get from him on the offensive end is really a bonus. So when you feed Wemby offensively, and he's doing that, he's going to be very efficient. He hits his free throws at a clip that most bigs have never hit in their fucking lives. Just to be quite honest with you, he's very flexible. He's not as injury prone as a lot of other bigs at his size, and humans at his size, let alone bigs in the NBA. He's simply bigger, stronger, and taller. He's longer and lengthy. The type of shots that he's able to get off are shots that most people can't even dream of. They're shots that you're taking against a fucking kindergartner, basically. Well, not literally, but like if I was playing a 5th grader, right? There are going to be shots that are open to me that are physical, shots that no one can take. His jump shot is almost impossible to contest. And honestly, the jump shot is the least dangerous thing about Wemby because you don't want Wemby to be taking jump shots. You want him to live in the paint. If they can't force him out of the paint, it's going to be problematic. Hartenstein is going to be in foul trouble dealing with him. If Chet is not in foul trouble, then he's not doing his job. He's not doing his part. Because offensively, he's giving them fucking bum kiss. He's giving them nothing. He's honestly, when I see Chet dribble the ball, and I know we saw Wemby turn the ball over a little bit too in the previous 2 games, right? And just all the games in general, really. He can turn the ball over. Because when he dribbles, these guys, there are a lot of ball hawks on this team. They're going to attack his dribble. It's slow. It's not as fast as a lot of guards. And they can hang with some of the best guards in the league. Right? It's another reason why whatever team comes out of this fucking thing is going to be in a torture chamber. I'm sorry. Jalen Brunson is a great player. He's a great shot maker. 100%. When Brunson and them in the New York Knicks come out of the series, the primary defender is going to be either Alex Caruso or Stephon Castle with Dylan Harper digging off the ball, daring Mikal Bridges to continue that hot shooting streak. That shit is not going to last forever. It might even last his entire playoff run. It's not going to be enough because OG's not going to give you enough offense. OG's not giving you enough offense. You're going to have to rely on Cat more. This team has proven to me the entire postseason run that they do not want to rely on Cat. They've proven to me the entire regular season run they don't like relying on Cat. Because the offense can stall when he's not on the court when you rely on Cat. The offensive fouls and problems that he has. They're basically playing him like he's fucking Draymond Green, which is honestly disrespectful in my opinion to him. It's also disrespectful to Draymond Green because Draymond Green is such a better passer than him. I don't understand why Mike Brown is so fascinated with running him in this Draymond Green role. Yes, he does have better vision than Draymond Green because he's taller, but he doesn't have the fucking playmaking chops that Draymond Green had developed at that point in time in his career. I just don't think this is I don't think this works. I don't really. Honestly, if you look at this, you can see it right now. Mikal Bridges is this team's Klay Thompson. He takes a volume of threes that you could say is Klay Thompson-ish, especially Klay Thompson in the 16 Warriors and stuff like that, because the volume he was taking was not the volume that he could have really started taking, like shot chucking and stuff like that, to the degree that like most of us would like expect of a guard and not a guard of Klay Thompson to take at this point in time. No, he could have he's taking around the same shot that Klay Thompson was back then. More mid-range shots is what I'm basically telling you, and less threes. He's hitting them at a clip that is actually absurd. So I want to give him his credit for that. They're pretty much running them like that. They're running this team like that. They're like, oh yeah, Brunson is our Steph Curry. We're running him like Steph Curry. Draymond Green, yeah, you mean Karl Anthony Towns? That's what we're doing. Klay Thompson tonight, whatever night is him. And then they're having Iggy basically do OG Anunoby. I'm not gonna lie, if you really look at this team, that's what they're running. I don't know why it took me so long to like really think about this. That actually might be the reason behind their success too. I mean, that and the teams they played. I don't want to give them too much credit. They played some teams, right? They played some pretty fucking shitty teams, the Cleveland Cavaliers included. Especially considering how fucking unadapting Kenny Atkinson has been this series. Like and bro, that quote of, well, we've won the 2 out of 3 games analytically. You've lost them in reality. So like, what the fuck does that mean? That's just such a bad soundbite and quote. I think he might be losing the locker room at this point too. Yeah, I don't know. The playmaking and passing that this team had distributed and demonstrated in previous seasons with Kenny at the helm, it's just, I haven't seen that either. It's been few and far between. Shooters missing shots and shit like that. I just don't know. Yeah. Let's go back to San Antonio because I mean, obviously that's the draw of this video. No one's here to hear me talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers, even though this is basically a Cavs channel, unfortunately. Yeah. Let's see. I talked about how Wemby's in transition and stuff like that. Steph has just been. Oh, by the way, Stephon Castle's just been great. Like even with the bad turnover, the amount of turnovers was really bad, right? And they were really, really bad. I don't want anyone to throw that on over there. He's been great in the last 2 games. Again, I said he's had 2 turnovers over the course of those 2 games. And in the previous 2 games on the road, he had 20. So, think about that. He decreased it to a 10th in the last 2 games. That's actually insane. Dylan Harper's tough. The way he drives to the basket is tough. I think a moment that people are probably not going to talk about, but I want to talk about is Carter Bryant. Carter Bryant had some really bad fouls in this game, and I think Carter Bryant is a very good player. He's a very young player. It is his rookie season as well as Dylan Harper's. He can be a defensive star in the upcoming years. The fouls that we saw from him were really bad. They were really bad, and the reason Mitch Johnson yelled at him was pretty obvious. But Mitch Johnson yelled at him. He got in his face. He told him everything that he needed to hear at that moment. And then the softer of the 2 guys, Wemby. This looks like, and pardon me for like elevating these 2 guys to the same level as a Greg Popovich and a Tim Duncan. But the broadcasting team even made us be like, they're talking about it. They're showing us this. And then we cut from on the court where Wemby and Mitch Johnson are talking, right? And we go up into the stands and near probably one of the boxes, right? We see Tim Duncan, who, by the way, has been with Greg Popovich literally every single day since he's had the stroke and helping him recover, which I respect that more than anything basketball related. Tim Duncan is a great human being for that. Tim Popovich is also a great human being. I don't think a lot of people have heard the stories about Greg Popovich as a person. He is a great person, man. He's a hard ass on the court. He's a great human being. That is the most important thing about this team. It's also why it's really, really, really easy to root for the Spurs. Wemby's a great human being. That's why, like, you can say whatever you want about this guy right here. He's not the same human being that Wemby is. Wemby is a much better person. I don't think people realize that. And that's going to be so important for this era that we're going to be living in. I love Wemby. Wemby is I'm not going to lie, Wemby could be elevated to my favorite player of all time instantly. LeBron has given me countless years of entertainment. Wemby has given me not nearly as much. Wemby's given me soundbite after soundbite of him just being a great person, him talking about injustice and stuff. There's something that cannot be talked about. There's some things that a lot of NBA fans are afraid to talk about, and a lot of people in general are afraid to talk about. Wemby's not. He's not. And I do want to take this into account, and I do want to talk about Greece really quickly. Back in ancient Greece, when they were having the Olympics, really early in time, athletes were a very core and pivotal part of their culture too, just like in America. What helped a lot for the Romans and also the Greeks, right, is when athletes spoke out about bad things that were happening in their empire, in their country, and all of that stuff. They spoke out about bad things. Now, it's not to the same level of degree. I think it would be shallow and shameless of me to compare him and his influence to one of these Greek athletes, right? Because again, they were really famous in early ancient times, and it's not the same as it is being famous now, right? And two, they didn't speak on anything nearly as real as what Wemby's talking about, right? The injustices that we've seen in this country, that we continue to see on a day-to-day basis, but that's neither here nor there. And by the way, everything is politics. If anyone wants to tell me that I can't talk about politics and sports on their intersectionality on my channel, fuck you. You'll tell me what to do. If you don't like that, kick rocks. Yeah, no, Wemby's just okay. Yeah, that's it. I just wanted to talk about those things. I wanted to say those things. I think they're really important. Just human being things to talk about, let alone basketball things. I think that's been great. I have really enjoyed this series. I really enjoyed everything that I've seen from them. I love this. I love the game of basketball and all that stuff. I just really appreciate what I'm seeing from these two teams. And the Cleveland Cavaliers, not so much. Not so much. Like, comment, subscribe if you liked the video, all that stuff. I know this is a little rambly one, and it's less basketball. There's a little X's and there's not really much X's and O's. I don't really talk X's and O's on the channel. I try to encapsulate moments and explain and break down those things, but I'm not the perfect at those. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe. I think I've already done the YouTube show thing pretty well. Signing out.